Hi and welcome. My name is Julianne Cost, and we're going to take the next few minutes to look at all of the new features when we're working with video in Lightroom 4. So the first thing that we'll notice in the library module is if I have a video clip and I move my cursor on top of the thumbnail, we can actually scrub through that clip. The other thing that you'll notice is in the lower left-hand corner, we can see the duration. In order to watch the video inside of Lightroom, we can either double-click or tap the E key to go to loupe view. Here we can click on the play button in order to play the video, or we can use the space bar. We can also use the space bar to stop, and then the space bar to start again. All right, let's go ahead and click this gear icon, and that's going to enable us to see where we are in time. So this is our current time indicator, and we can use that to scrub through the thumbnail previews. Let's go back to the beginning because obviously at the beginning of this video, the camera is really shaky. So I don't want the video to start until about here. This would be my new in point that I want to set, and I can do that in one of two ways. I can either click here on the grabber handle of the shade and bring it across to the right, or I can just use Shift-I in order to set my in point. Then I'll tap the spacebar key again to play the video. And as soon as I've reached the point that I want the video to end, I can tap the spacebar again and then use the keyboard shortcut Shift-O in order to set the out point, or I can drag from the right-hand side to my current time indicator. So I've now trimmed this clip. If we go back in time to the beginning and tap the spacebar, it will just play between the new in point and the out point of the clip. So at this point, if this is all that I wanted to do, I would be ready to export this video. But we'll talk about exporting in a minute. For now, let's go back to the grid view by tapping the G key. This next video you can see has two horses running in the beginning, and then there's a gray horse that joins them. But if we look at just the poster frame here, the thumbnail icon, I'm always going to see those two brown-red horses. And that might not be the frame that I want to see because it might not visually cue me into the important area of this clip. So let's double click on it to go back to loupe view, and let's scrub through until we actually see that gray horse. Now, in order to remind myself that this gray horse is in this video clip, I can use the icon right here to set my new poster frame. Now when I tap the G key and we go back to the grid view, I have a visual reminder of the important part of that clip. Now let's talk about the changes that we can make to video. You'll notice on the right-hand side under Quick Develop, there's a variety of different options such as changing temperature and tint, or tone control such as exposure and contrast, your whites and blacks, and your vibrance. So if I want to make really kind of bold, rough changes, I can do so by simply clicking any of these options. So if I wanted to increase exposure, for example, or maybe increase contrast, all I need to do is click on those icons. And of course, just like working with still images, when you're working with video, all of these changes are completely non-destructive. So if I decide at any point that I want to remove them, I can simply click the Reset All button and it will reset it. If I want to go maybe in one direction that I'm not sure of, what I can always do is create a virtual copy of my video clip. Keyboard shortcut for that is just Command''. So a virtual copy means that there's still only one video clip on disk, taking up however many megabytes. I've just told Lightroom to create another thumbnail and process that thumbnail differently. So I'm not wasting any space by making virtual copies, and it gives me the creative freedom to go in multiple directions at once. Up at the top of Quick Develop, you can see that I have access to all of my presets. Let's go ahead and add something like a direct positive. When I add a preset, Lightroom's going to warn me that not everything that's available in the Develop module can be applied to video, and it actually gives me a list of all the things that can be applied. Of course, if you don't want to see this again, just click Don't Show Again. But I'll click OK, and we can see that we've got a little bit more saturated, a little bit more contrasty video clip here. If I don't like that and I want to change it, we can quickly just go and apply something else, maybe this yesteryear. Again, it tells me what's going to be applied, and click OK. So that's great for applying presets, as well as applying kind of this limited number of changes to the image. But I want to actually take advantage of things like the tone curve and split toning. However, if I tap the D key to go to the Develop module, it tells me that video is not supported. But we can work around that. Let's go back to the grid view. And in this case, I'm going to move to another image because all of the video of the horses were photographed in the same location, but the color balance of these two down here don't match the color balance above, and that's what I would like to fix. So I'm going to view these in Loupe View by tapping the E key, and we can go ahead and just move forward a little bit till we see those horses. And then I'm going to use the same icon that I used to set the poster frame, but this time instead of a poster frame, I'm actually going to capture a frame. So in this case, I'm capturing a frame, which is a JPEG file at the same resolution as the original, in order to take that into the Develop module to make additional changes to it. But don't forget, I'm making those changes so that I can apply it to the video. But you don't have to, right? I mean, at this point, if I was shooting video and there's a still image in there that I love, I could simply capture that frame right within Lightroom, process it, and then output it, whether I'm going to share it on the web or I'm going to print it in a book. So at this point, let's go ahead and go back to grid view. I just want to show you, here's my movie file right here, and then here is my still JPEG. So let's move to the Develop module. I'll tap the D key in order to do that, and we're going to make some changes. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my film strip a little bit larger here, just so that I can see the changes that I'm making to my active image, the still JPEG, to see how it looks next to maybe these first two video clips. And it looks to me like I need to add a little bit of an increase in temperature and kind of get that a little bit warmer. And I probably want to decrease my exposure a little bit and maybe add a little bit of contrast. So my goal here is to make this still image match these other two video clips. Because at this point, what I can do is I've made the changes to my still image. I'm going to hold down the Command key or the Control key on Windows, and I'm going to select those two video clips. Then I'm going to click the Sync button. And what's really nice is when you're synchronizing settings between a still frame and video, Lightroom is showing you those adjustments that can be made to video, and it's graying out the ones that cannot be applied. So let's go ahead and click on Synchronize, and now the changes that I've made to the still image will be applied to these additional video images. Of course, there's other ways that we could copy and paste those settings. I could use the keyboard shortcuts to copy and paste, or right here I could use copy and paste, but that doesn't show me the limitations. It'll just pretend like it's going to copy and paste everything, whereas we know now with video, not everything in the Develop module can actually be applied. One more important point is that if you do make changes to your still image and you think you're going to want to save those changes to apply them maybe next week or next month to a whole nother set of videos, you could always save a preset, and that way you could save all those settings and they could be easily applied later on. All right, let's go back to the grid view for a moment. I just want to show you there's two different ways now that we can export these files. The easiest way, obviously, would be just to select the video that you like and then choose to export it. And we can see here in the video setting area, you can now include your video files on export. You can see that we're exporting them to the H.264, but you can also export to DPX or to the original. All right. If you do select the original, we will apply the settings that you've changed in Lightroom, but it will be the original source size, like the same resolution as well as the same frame rate. When you choose the H.264, now we can change the quality from max down to high, medium, or low, and when you select the different options, it gives you kind of this nice little hint as to when you might want to use those. So for example, if I was going to a tablet, I might want to choose medium for my quality, and if I wanted to go to a mobile device, then I might want to choose low. And of course, you can see the source, and then the target here is the size that it's going to export. And just like when you export your still images, you can choose to add these as a preset so that if you have certain sizes that you export regularly, set this up once and then add that as a preset. The other way that you could export your videos directly to Facebook or Flickr would be to use the publish services. And then all you need to do is click on the Facebook or Flickr and set up all of your export options, the same export options that we just went through, and then choose to export there. And of course, there's more services online, so if you just click this button, it'll actually take you to look through different plugins from different manufacturers, so you're not just limited to Flickr or Facebook. And one small little last note here, because the aspect ratio for video capture is different usually than still capture, if you had a bunch of still images and you wanted to crop them to the same size as your video, you will notice that if we select just a still image here and we come over to either Quick Develop or go to the Develop module, you'll notice that for the crop ratios here, we now have some kind of standard aspect ratios so that you can match your still images to the aspect ratios of your videos. And there you have it, all of the new features for video in Lightroom 4. My name's Julianne Koss. Thanks for watching.